With more of my interview with Rush Limbaugh. You've been in the middle of this running dialogue, let's say, with Colin Powell, and he's saying, no, Rush isn't going to get his way. Now, I thought that the Republicans had their moderate candidate in the last election. The Conservatives didn't win the nomination. It was John McCain, who was a moderate, who Colin Powell said he liked, and now Colin Powell's mad at you. Colin Powell voted for Obama.
Yeah, so again, this is something that somebody smarter than I am is going to have to explain to me. How is it that all of these quasi-conservatives and Republicans are running around saying, oh my gosh, we've got to keep Colin Powell in our party? Would somebody tell me what Colin Powell has done for the party? Name an issue that he has championed for the Republican Party. I can't think of one. Name anything Obama's doing that Colin Powell has disagreed with. I can't think of one. You're right. Colin Powell endorsed strategically at a point in the campaign to destroy the McCain campaign, just endorsed Obama. Why in the world do we need somebody who lovingly voted Democrat, endorsed the Democrat, after the Republican Party nominated the classically moderate candidate Colin Powell says this party needs to nominate? It goes, well, we've got to get the Hispanic vote, Rush. That's why we can't be too harsh on Sotomayor. Right. Well, we had a president and a presidential candidate author amnesty for illegals. And that didn't get us the Hispanic vote, did it? So pray tell, what in the world has Colin Powell ever done for the Republican Party that makes him so valuable?
Yeah, how do you go, my question for him is, how do you go from supporting Reagan, whose values are the antithesis of Obama's, or even W., to supporting the socialism, the worldview of Barack Obama?
Well, I have the answer. I have all the answers, and I'll explain this with you.
Okay. That's why we're asking the questions. Go ahead.
Colin Powell, I think, is trying to, and he's succeeded now, re-ingratiate himself with the Washington, New York establishment. I think two things were a factor in his endorsement of Obama. First one is race, clearly. Nobody has the guts to say that, but I mean, what else could it be? Because we just discussed the ideal moderate Republican candidate was nominated, and Powell's off the reservation supporting Obama. So race is clearly a factor, but also, and very close to this, I think Powell is humiliated over the fact he was sent to the United Nations to make the case for weapons of mass destruction, and then none were found. And I think he's profoundly embarrassed about that. And his life since has been about rehabilitating himself and his image with the people who hated the Iraq War, who mock Bush on weapons of mass destruction. So this is about a legacy. This is about Powell trying to rehab himself with the people that matter most to him, the D.C. establishment. So those are the two explanations. It's not about issues.
Sotomayor, about her, and we all know the quote about what she said about Latino women with the richness of their experience would more often than not reach a better conclusion than a white male. You said those comments absolutely disqualify her, and it made a lot of news, quote, reverse racism, because you said that's what reverse racism. I wanted you to expand.
Well, I got a little grief from people for saying that there's no such thing as reverse racism, just call her a racist. So, and they're right. I mean, that is a racist thing to say, and it's bigoted. And she would bring, no question about it, racism and bigotry to the court if she is confirmed. But, Sean, I've been thinking about this, and there's something else going on with Sonia Sotomayor. We don't know what she thinks about Roe versus Wade. She hasn't said. Now, we know that she's Catholic. We know that she's Puerto Rican, Hispanic Catholic. They tend to be devout. She has no record. She hasn't said much about it. If, I'm speaking for me personally, if I could be assured that she is actually a pro-life person and does think that Roe versus Wade is bad constitutional law, and if she would rule on the right side on the life issue, I might look past this racism. You can deal with that. But that's something very, very important to me, and she could be stealth in that regard. And I know that Well, there's no record. Normally, most liberals, they love to tell you how pro-choice they are in abortion. She doesn't have any of that.
She is a reflection of Obama's racial identity.
Absolutely. I think Obama wants his mirror image on the court. He wants a radical on the court. Obama talks about the Constitution in terms of he's constrained by it. In numerous speeches, he said, Al-Qaeda not constrained by the Constitution. He has referred to the Constitution as a charter of negative rights. Now, when you and I hear that, how in the world can the Constitution be negative? To him, the Constitution doesn't spell out what government can do. The Constitution limits government. He doesn't like that. I think and he has said in many occasions that the court needs to take in, it hadn't done enough on redistribution. It needs to use empathy and the law. He wants people on the court who will make policy. That's why I think the hearings on Sotomayor ought to be full bore, whether she gets confirmed or not, full bore, find out who she is, all about her, because we'll learn and be able to inform the American people who Obama is. That's key.
But it is interesting because that term, racist, racial, is radioactive. But Chuck Schumer said, he made the comment that you do so at your own peril if you go after Judge Sotomayor. And I found that comment pretty interesting because I'm thinking, well, that didn't stop you and your fellow Democrats from going after Miguel Estrada. Remember he's a Latino memo, right? Or Clarence Thomas, or even Alberto Gonzalez.
Well, see, that's another thing. They tell us you go easy on her because our own people say we got to go easy on her because we want the Hispanic vote. Really? The left went after Clarence Thomas, tried to destroy him. Did they lose black votes? No. They went after Estrada, all the Hispanics you mentioned. Did they lose Hispanic vote? No. You know, they're just trying to shut us up. A racist is a racist. You know, they may think, Sean, that's too shrill to say. They may wish I would tone it down, but nobody has refuted the charge. Nobody has said, no, she's not a racist. In fact, the White House has said, if she could do it again, she'd say it differently. So they want a do-over. With Obama saying
Would you get a do-over?
No, none of us get a do-over.
Never.
No.
Did Frank Ricci get a do-over?
Nope. That's the point. But she bring racism and bigotry to the court. There's no other way to describe it.
And coming up, President Obama continues his midi